CRB update. This is your CRB application step-by-step walkthrough and guide. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to DG Capital. This is your premier destination for personal finance, investing, real estate, and more. When we last left off the Canada Recovery Benefit, or the CRB, it was in the middle of receiving royal assent in order to become official Canadian law. This occurred on October 2nd, 2020, with all political parties supporting the vote. In this video, I will walk you through all the finalized changes and everything you need to know in order for you to successfully apply for the CRB and start receiving your benefits. There is a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. This time around, the government has learned from the SERB program and have added in additional screening measures in order to weed out anyone who is trying to apply for the government's 3 new recovery benefits but isn't eligible. This measure comes after concerns that certain individuals were previously trying to scam the system. It's too bad there are individuals out there taking unfair advantage of a system put in place to help those in need. When applying for the CRB, if your application is flagged for additional review, you could be required to submit documentation to back up your case. In this situation, you may need to wait as long as 4 weeks for processing. In cases where an application is approved, it can take between 3 to 5 business days for payments to be received via direct deposit and 10 to 12 days for checks by mail. Before we start jumping into the CRB application process, I want to quickly touch base on the transition from SERB to EI. Canadians who collected SERB from Service Canada and are EI eligible will be transferred over to the new EI program automatically. However, those who received SERB through the Canada Revenue Agency will have to manually apply for EI, as its program is administered by Service Canada. One of the biggest differences between SERB and EI is that you'll be required to self-report on your employment status and apply every 2 weeks. So now let's look at who can apply for CRB. One small clarification that came out through the finalized legislation is that the $500 weekly benefit will in fact be $900 every 2 weeks when it's actually paid out. This is because 10% of withholding taxes will be held at source when this amount is paid out every 2 weeks from $1,000. In order to qualify for the CRB, you must either be not working because of COVID-19, or your average weekly income is down by at least 50% when compared to last year. How do you calculate if your income meets that 50% reduction criteria? The 50% reduction is based on your average weekly income from either employment or self-employment. Let's take a look at how do you actually calculate if your income meets that 50% reduction criteria. Suppose your income from employment or self-employment is $26,000 in either 2019 or in the last 12 months. Divide this by 52 weeks. That will give you an average weekly income of about $500. Divide this by 2 in order to find out your 50% reduction criteria. In this case, it's $250 per week. This simply means that right now, if you're making $250 per week on average, compared to last year, where you're making $500 a week on average, you meet that 50% reduction in income criteria for the CRB. Keep in mind, even if you meet that 50% loss in income criteria, but your annual net income is above $38,000, then you have to repay 50 cents for every benefit dollar you received, up to the maximum of the total benefit you received. Let's take a look at what gets included in your net income for this calculation. Any tips you receive, any non-eligible dividends. Generally speaking, dividends paid by public Canadian corporations are eligible dividends, so those don't count. Royalties from items like book sales, artwork sales, or any other kind of royalties also get included in that net income calculation. Now, what doesn't get included in that net income calculation? That's pension income, student loans, maternity and parental benefits, or the Quebec QPIP, or any of the other COVID-19 benefits. So that takes care of the income calculation. If you want to receive the CRB benefit, then you must attest to the fact that you did not apply for or receive any of these following benefits: the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit, or CRSB, the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit, or the CRCB, short-term disability benefits, workers' compensation, employment insurance benefits, EI, or the Quebec Parental Insurance Plan, QPIP. In addition, you need to confirm the following: you lived and were present in Canada, but you do not have to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, are at least 15 years old, have a valid SIN number, and you received at least $5,000 in income in either 2019 or in the last 12 months leading up to the date of your CRB application. The COVID-19 benefits, such as the SERB or any of the new recovery benefits, do not count towards that $5,000 minimum. Pension income also doesn't count towards that $5,000 minimum. You have not voluntarily quit your job. However, you can continue to work while collecting the CRB, but remember, there's that $38,000 limit where anything you earn above that $38,000, you have to pay back 50 cents on the dollar. You have not turned down any reasonable offer to start work during any 2-week period where you're applying for the CRB. You need to meet all of these eligibility criteria in order to apply and collect the CRB payments. But please, don't attempt to apply if you are not eligible, as you will face penalties or possible jail time for fraudulent claims. Next up, how much can you get from the CRB? As we talked about earlier, the CRB is a $500 weekly benefit. However, a 10% tax will be held at source, leaving you with a payment of $900 in your hands after every 2-week period. Here's a quick example from the government of what this will look like. The 10% tax that is withheld may not be all the tax you owe the government from this benefit. When you complete your personal taxes, you may need to pay more based on the income bracket you're in. You will have to report the CRB on your taxes as it's considered income in your hands. I highly recommend you watch my video on what the tax treatment on these benefits look like and what you can do to estimate your taxes. Link in the description. Moving on, the income you make impacts the CRB you get to keep. While you can make more money and still apply for the CRB program compared to the SERB program, there is a threshold of $38,000 set by the government. The $38,000 does not include CRB payments, but includes SERB payments, CRSB, and CRCB that you may have received. You will have to pay back 50 cents of every benefit dollar that you received that is over $38,000 of your net income. However, you will not have to pay back more than the benefit you received. So for example, if your net income is $40,000 and you collected $4,000 in CRB payments, you are $2,000 above the $38,000 threshold. Multiply that $2,000 by 50 cents and you will owe the government $1,000. This will be due at the same time you file your income tax return. Any late payments will be charged interest. I highly recommend you take a look at your income tax return from last year and look at line 23600. This will show you how your net income is calculated. Now let's look at how the eligibility period works. The CRB eligibility period is a very specific 2-week window, meaning it starts and ends on very specific dates. When you go and apply, you will receive $900 after $100 of taxes are deducted for every 2-week period you applied for. The CRB is not an automatic application, so you will have to apply for each period manually. The periods will be open from September 27th, 2020 to September 25th, 2021. You can apply for a maximum of 26 weeks, which is 13 periods, out of a total of 52 weeks, which is 26 periods. You don't have to apply for all 13 of your periods in a row. You can space them out however you feel necessary out of the total 26 periods. The earliest you can apply will be the first Monday after each eligible 2-week period. The first period will run from September 27th, 2020 to October 10th, 2020. The first Monday is October the 12th, so on this date, you can apply for your first eligibility period. The government website lists all the periods that will be available until the program ends, and gives you the date on which you can apply for each 2-week period. For example, if you're applying for the period between November 22nd, 2020 to December 5th, 2020, The earliest you can apply for is Monday, December 7th, 2020. For any period, you have up to 60 days after the period ends to apply. If you're forgetful of dates, I know I can be sometimes, open up the calendar application on your phone right now and set up a recurring reminder so you can apply as soon as the application window opens for each period. Do it now. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Once you have maxed out your 13 periods, you can no longer receive CRB payments. If you log onto your CRA account, you can review your application history under COVID-19 support payment application details. Moving on to how you can apply. The quickest and easiest way for you to apply and receive your CRB payments will be online through your CRA account. If you do not have access or have not signed up, please make sure you sign up and can log on to your account. This will prevent any unnecessary delays in you receiving your payments. The other item the government is recommending in order to receive your CRB payment is make sure you have filed your 2019 tax return. If you have not, please ensure you file your 2019 personal tax return to avoid delays. Another recommendation is making sure you have signed up for direct deposit and that information is up to date with the CRA. Why? Because direct deposit payments will only take between 3 to 5 business days for processing. Compare that to a check in the mail, that can take anywhere between 10 and 12 business days or more if there's mailing delays. So please make sure you do these two things. Have access and can log into your CRA account online and that you've signed up for direct deposit. Are you receiving any provincial or territorial support assistance? Please make sure you consult with your provincial or territorial social assistance office before you apply for the CRB. This will make sure your other benefits are not impacted. What should you do after you receive your first CRB payment? To keep receiving your CRB payments, you have to reapply every 2 weeks. So make sure you set up your calendar notifications. The eligibility criteria covered in this video doesn't just apply to the first time you apply. You have to make sure you meet the criteria for every 2-week period you're applying for. The whole idea behind CRB is to help those who have been impacted by COVID-19 and have either lost their job or have had severe reductions in their incomes. If you are able to work, make sure you continue to look for work. In fact, this is actually one of the criteria behind CRB, that you must attest to the fact that you are still looking for work if you have lost your job. If you need help with your job search, I will leave a link to Canada's Job Bank in the description below. It has some tools you can use to help with your job search. If your application requires additional documentation or the CRA has to make inquiries, processing times can take up to 4 weeks from the date of your application. Otherwise, if you have signed up for direct deposit and the CRA does not need any additional information, you can expect your $900 after taxes are deducted within 3 to 5 business days. The other piece I want to cover is how to return your CRB payment. But why would you want to return your CRB payment? Situations and circumstances change, especially considering how fast everyone has had to adapt to our new realities in our fight against COVID-19. You might find yourself in a situation that's different than when you applied, or maybe you made a mistake when you applied. If you are not eligible, or you find yourself not to be eligible after applying, you will have to return any CRB payments you've received. You will also have to return your CRB payment if you received a payment in error, or you received one of the other benefits at the same time you applied for the CRB, such as the CRCB, the CRSB, short-term disability, workers' compensation, EI benefits, or the Quebec QPIP. The CRA would like to remind everyone that anyone who intentionally makes a fraudulent claim may face consequences like hefty penalties or possible jail time. Let's keep it simple. If you are not eligible, don't apply. This helps keep the system fair for those who really need the support. The CRA encourages you to return any 2020 payments you've received but should not have by December 31st, 2020. If you want to learn more about the ways you can return the CRB payments to the CRA, please visit the link in the description and you'll see options available to you based on how you received the payment in the first place. There's also some helpful information on how to contact the CRA. If you're looking for general information about the benefit, have questions about your CRA account, or if there is a security concern. Select one of the following options and you can follow the directions on next steps. Feel free to leave any questions you have for me in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them. That's it for this video. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. My goal is to reach as many people as I can with my content, and by hitting the like or subscribe button or even dropping a comment, it will help me get there. Take care of yourself and I'll catch you in the next one.